What would you do if the most powerful man in the world decided you reminded him of someone he lost? Not just reminded. He said you were her. He dresses you in silk, puts a crown on your head, gives you a new name, a fake identity, then he castrates you. This isn't fiction. It happened. And the boy's name was Sporus, the child slave who was forced to become the wife of the Emperor Nero. This is one of the most disturbing stories in Roman history, and no one ever talks about it. Sporus was just a boy, probably no older than 12 to 15 years old, when his life was ripped out from under him. Sporus wasn't his real name. Historians believe that the name was given to him after his abuse began. Some say it's from the Greek word sporos, meaning seed, or semen, a cruel reference to the fact that he was castrated and could never have children. But historian David Woods offers another theory, that the name sounds like the Latin spurius, which means illegitimate child. So maybe the name was meant to insult him, not describe him. Who was he really? We know almost nothing about his early life. He was likely a poor delicatus, a type of child slave chosen by wealthy Roman men for their beauty. They were often sexually exploited and sometimes castrated to preserve their youthful looks. Historian Cassius Dio believes Sporus was the child of a freedman. That's low on the social ladder in Roman society, but high enough to be noticeable. None of that mattered to Nero, because one day the emperor looked at Sporus and saw his dead wife. Nero's second wife, Poppaea Sabina, died in 65 AD. To some, she was the ultimate Roman beauty, elegant, manipulative, and ambitious. She had once been married to Otho and left him for Nero. She knew how to charm powerful men and how to survive in the cutthroat world of imperial politics. Poppaea wasn't just a consort, she was Nero's obsession. And when she gave him a daughter, she became something more. Proof of his legacy. But then, she died. Some said it was during childbirth. Others whispered a darker truth, that Nero himself killed her by kicking her in the stomach while she was pregnant. Whatever the cause, her death shattered him. And what followed was obsession, madness. He married another noblewoman, Statilia Messalina, but she wasn't Poppaea. Then he found Sporus, a young boy with a striking resemblance to his dead wife. Nero made his choice. He had Sporus castrated. He dressed him in the robes of an empress. He gave him Poppaea's jewelry, her household staff, even her mistress of the wardrobe, Calvia Crispinilla, to dress him. Then came the ceremony. Yes, a wedding. Sporus was forced to marry Nero in public. Not as a joke, not in secret, but as a real imperial wedding with all the customs of a Roman empress. He wasn't a boy anymore. He was Poppaea Sabina, reborn. What followed was more than disturbing. It was a twisted performance. Nero took Sporus on royal tours, to Greece, back to Rome, to public games. Everywhere, Sporus appeared as his wife. He was addressed as Lady, Empress, and Mistress, and no one dared speak against it. This wasn't Nero's first staged relationship. Earlier, he had married a freedman named Pythagoras, with Nero taking the role of the bride. Now, with Sporus, he flipped the script and made the boy his wife. It was a grotesque display of power. Nero wasn't just mourning Poppaea, he was recreating her, forcing an innocent boy into the role of a dead woman. And then came a chilling omen. During the Calends festival, Sporus gave Nero a ring engraved with an image of the rape of Proserpina, the Roman goddess who was kidnapped and forced to live in the underworld as someone's bride. To Romans, it was a bad sign. And they were right. By June of 68 AD, Nero's world was falling apart. The army revolted. The Senate declared him a public enemy. His allies abandoned him. He fled Rome in disguise, hiding in the villa of a freedman named Phaon, taking with him just 4 companions, Epaphroditus, Neophytus, Phaon, and Sporus. It wasn't his generals or advisors who stayed with him, it was his slaves, and among them the one he still called Poppaea. As the soldiers closed in, Nero paced, terrified. He wept. He begged someone to dig his grave. He asked what kind of death was most fitting for an emperor. And then he faltered. When it came time to take his own life, he couldn't do it. Instead, it was his freedman Epaphroditus who had to help. As Nero hesitated, Epaphroditus stabbed him in the throat just as the soldiers arrived. Some accounts say Sporus was with him until the very end, forced to watch as the man who had destroyed his life died begging for mercy. The emperor was gone, but Sporus's nightmare wasn't over yet. Soon after Nero's death, Sporus was taken in by a man named Nymphidius Sabinus, a powerful praetorian prefect who had helped orchestrate Nero's downfall. But Nymphidius didn't see Sporus as a person. He saw him as a tool, a twisted political asset. He publicly called Sporus Poppaea, just as Nero had. He treated him as a wife, just as Nero had. And some historians believe Nymphidius even planned to marry him, hoping to use Sporus's symbolic link to Nero as a way to legitimize his own claim to the throne. But the plan backfired. Before he could seize power, Nymphidius was killed by his own guardsmen, another casualty of the political chaos Rome had descended into. Then came Otho. Otho ruled briefly in the bloody year of 69 AD. He had once been married to the real Poppaea before Nero stole her away. And now, years later, Otho took in Sporus, the boy who had been made to replace her. Was it affection, political theater, or something darker? We don't know. But Sporus once again found himself in the role of Poppaea, this time in the household of the man who had lost her first. Otho's reign lasted only 3 months. After his defeat at the Battle of Bedriacum, he committed suicide. The second emperor Sporus had watched die. And then came Vitellius. Vitellius was cruel, theatrical, and loved public spectacle. And he had a horrific idea. He planned to use Sporus in a public entertainment, a gladiator show that would reenact the myth of Proserpina's rape. In this version, Sporus would play the goddess, and the scene would end in his rape and death, for laughs. After years of playing a dead empress, after being passed from emperor to emperor like a royal ghost, Sporus saw what was coming. Rather than let himself be torn apart before a crowd, Sporus took his own life. He left behind no letters, no legacy, no voice of his own, just fragments in the writings of men who never saw him as human. Sporus didn't shape history, but history shaped him brutally, publicly, and without mercy. His story isn't about power or love or loyalty. It's about what power does when no one dares to say no. If this story shocked you, share it. Subscribe for more true stories from the darkest corners of the ancient world.